Number 10. Ritual tools. In Egypt, the Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities just announced the discovery of a huge treasure trove of ancient tools that were likely used in religious rituals. Archaeologists say they were probably collected and put in one spot because the local priests feared an incoming invasion. And since they were found in such good condition given how old they are, it looks like they were successful in protecting them. They were discovered inside the Temple of the Pharaohs, north of Cairo. Researchers say some of the tools were likely used in daily religious ceremonies that honored the goddess Hathor. This assumption is based on a large limestone sculpture of Hathor, which was found along with the tools. There were ancient incense burners, a set of clay figurines, and even some small statues of the gods Taweret and Thoth. Hathor was the deity of pregnant women, music, and happiness. It was probably women expecting to give birth who visited the temple and used the figurines, incense burners, and other religious instruments in rituals to safeguard the births of their children. Among the tools discovered, there were things like birthing chairs, offering plates, an eye made of pure gold, and materials used for gilding, all found together in the same place. This video was sponsored by Atlas VPN. Atlas VPN was developed by top cybersecurity specialists and IT engineers to make the internet accessible and secure for everyone. You can enjoy streaming shows or playing games at blazing speeds for just $1.39 a month. What is a VPN? A virtual private network makes all of your internet traffic travel through an encrypted tunnel. This way, it protects you from spying, public Wi-Fi dangers, and it hides your IP address and your online activities. With Atlas VPN, you can protect all of your devices with a single subscription. This VPN will stop ads and malware, blocking all the malicious links, ads, and trackers, and it will notify you when someone is trying to steal your data. It will also help you get the best deals when shopping online, including subscriptions like Netflix and Spotify, airlines, hotels, and more. My favorite thing about Atlas is that you can connect to other countries and watch Netflix shows that are not available in the United States, like The Office. I know, I have a problem. Atlas can help you take your binge watching to a whole new level. Right now, Atlas VPN is running a huge discount. It means you can get a 3-year subscription for just $1.39 a month with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Time is running out, so get your deal by clicking the link in the description box below. Number 9. Unbelievable megatomb. The discovery of a megatomb has shocked archaeologists in Egypt. The tomb was found with over 100 coffins and countless artifacts hidden inside it. This discovery was made in Saqqara near Cairo. Experts don't know exactly what the purpose of the tomb was just yet, though they have said that judging by the precious items inside, it was used for wealthier members of society. Some of the artifacts are believed to be over 2,500 years old. Archaeologists uncovered a talisman likely used to protect dead spirits as they wandered into the underworld, as well as small statues buried beside the dead as good luck charms for their journey to the afterlife. Experts say the expensive treasures show how rich Egyptians were obsessed with burying their dead in a more commercialized fashion during the later periods of ancient Egypt. It was an actual industry of death. It also shows just how anxious they were about the next life. The wealthy Egyptians almost certainly read the Book of the Dead for any tips or pieces of advice on how to best bury their recently deceased friends and relatives. They probably did this in hopes that their own friends and relatives would do the same for them. Here's another interesting fact about this megatomb. The excavators found coffins crammed into just about every available space underground. This is further evidence that mummification in ancient Egypt was a commercial venture. Carpenters, statue makers, priests, and everyone else involved in the process benefited from maximum mummification. More mummies, more money. Number 8. Ancient family feuds. The translation of a mysterious will written 3,000 years ago in Egypt has revealed some shocking links between the ancient Egyptians and the people of today. The document is called the Will of Naunacht, and it tells the story of an old woman with 8 children. More than that, it tells the story of a serious family dispute. You see, the woman had decided that only some of her children would be the recipient of her estate. In this ancient will, she clearly expresses anger at some of her children for not taking care of her when she started getting old. See? Gotta take care of your parents. Naunacht lived in Thebes near the end of the New Kingdom period. with her last will and testament being created in November of 1147 BC. This was the third year that Ramses V ruled over Egypt. She had first been married to a scribe, then to a workman who specialized in the creation of tombs. But what you might find really fascinating is that just like other women in ancient Egypt, she had legal rights equal to ancient Egyptian men. She decided that upon her death, she would distribute her wealth the way she saw fit, and this likely increased the turmoil within her family. Naunacht very specifically divided up her valuable copper assets to certain children, then forbade those children from sharing the copper assets with their other siblings. She basically denounces the bad children who wouldn't take care of her and gives all of her washing bowls, knickknacks, and other pieces of property only to her favorite children. Scandalous. Ancient Egyptians, they were just like us. Number 7. New but ancient mummy. A bizarre mummy thought to be 4,000 years old has just been discovered while archaeologists excavated a mysterious burial chamber. Apparently, the remains have left experts a little confused. This newest discovery was made by the archaeologist Martina Bardonova, who was working in the southern Egyptian city of Aswan. Her Spanish research team was looking into the reign of the first female Egyptian ruler, Hatshepsut. They discovered a tomb that had never before been opened, and were extremely lucky to find a coffin that had remained hidden from looters for thousands of years. Within the coffin was the mysterious mummy. According to Martina herself, the mummy was ugly. In fact, she said it wasn't even really a mummy, just a dead person that had been really poorly bandaged. The deceased was an old woman when she was put inside the tomb, her body shrouded in a black material and jammed into a terracotta coffin. Bone experts are currently trying to get more details on the dead lady, so far only figuring out her age. But in fact, it's her age that has left the experts baffled. She was at least 70 years old when she died, maybe even more. This is outrageous because people almost never lived over the age of 25. Most people in ancient Egypt died from some kind of infection and were in the ground before they ever hit 30. A significant portion of women also died giving birth. Nobody has any idea how this woman lived to be 70, as there was nothing in Egyptian society to help the elderly. If she truly was that old, it was a total fluke. What do you think was her secret? Ancient Egyptian yoga, meditation, special diet? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Number 6. The Mysteries of Osiris. In the sacred Egyptian city of Abydos, there was once a religious festival dedicated to the god Osiris. It was a celebration of death and resurrection, one of the most important festivals that the ancient Egyptians had. Osiris was the lord of the afterlife, and nothing was more important in Egyptian society than what happened to a person after their body was put to rest. This ancient festival was so important, with people so obsessed with being blessed by Osiris, that everyone who could afford it erected a small chapel along the procession route, complete with offerings for the god of the dead. The procession started at the temple of Osiris, then traveled into the desert. And while Egyptologists can't do much except imagine what the great festival looked like, they have found plenty of reliefs in the city of Abydos showing the festivities. Based on ancient pieces of art, stone tablets, and reliefs on temple walls, this was a celebration on the same level as Christmas. If you could go back and participate in the great festival of Osiris, would you? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. We have lots of videos like these coming up. Number 5. Artifact in a cigar box. An ancient Egyptian artifact from 5,000 years ago was recently discovered in a very unusual place. The artifact dates back to between 3341 and 3094 BC, before the construction of the Great Pyramid. It was retrieved from the Queen's chamber inside the pyramid back in 1872, one of only 3 items found inside the chamber. It's a piece of cedar only about 5 inches long. It was found with a small ball and a bronze hook, with the latter 2 artifacts currently being held at the British Museum in London. The engineer, Wayneman Dixon, found it during excavations, then handed it over to Dr. James Grant, who had gone to Egypt in the 1860s to treat cholera. The fragment of cedar was eventually donated to the University of Aberdeen, though it mysteriously went missing 70 years ago. It was just rediscovered by a curatorial assistant named Abir El-Adani. The assistant was looking through the archives when she came across a cigar box with the Egyptian flag on it. It didn't quite look right, so she opened the box up to check. All she found was a small piece of wood. She didn't know what the fragment was immediately, though it was clearly important. It also clearly had something to do with Egypt, which piqued her curiosity since she herself is Egyptian. She soon found out the significance of the item, which had apparently been mislabeled, improperly classified, and then lost in the archives. One of the only things to ever be found inside the Great Pyramid was literally sitting in a cigar box in a glorified broom closet in a Scottish university for almost 100 years. Nobody knows what the fragment of wood was used for, though most experts agree it was probably from a piece of material used in the construction of the pyramid. It has since been properly labeled and will likely be put on display with the other two artifacts in London. Number 4. Mysterious Cemetery. A giant cemetery has been discovered in the middle of the Egyptian desert, with at least 250 previously unexplored tombs. This is one of the biggest discoveries of the past decade, since nobody had any clue that there were hundreds of tombs carved into the side of a hill in the eastern desert. And to make things even more shocking, the tombs date back as far as 4,200 years ago and as recent as 2,100 years. The discovery was made 240 miles away from Cairo, with the tombs made throughout various parts of Egyptian history. The oldest was during what Egyptologists referred to as the Old Kingdom. It was near the end of the Old Kingdom when the great pharaohs began losing control as individual governors gained too much power, dividing the country. The most recent tombs are from a time when Egypt was controlled by pharaohs descended from the generals of Alexander the Great, right before Cleopatra VII died, and Egypt was turned into a Roman province. But just what exactly did the archaeologists find inside the tombs? To be honest, nothing too exciting. They found typical artifacts like cups, plates, small vessels, symbolic offerings for the dead, and strange spherical vessels used to hold liquids, perhaps perfume. They also discovered that a lot of the tombs held both human and animal remains. And that's one mystery that nobody has quite been able to solve yet. Number 3. Fossilized fish. A team of Egyptian researchers from the American University of Cairo recently discovered the remains of fossils in the middle of the eastern desert, surprisingly close to where other researchers just discovered the 250 tombs. These fossils date back 56 million years, to a time when the Egyptian desert was underwater. The researchers found several different kinds of bony fish, things like deep-sea hatchetfish and moonfish. These are predatory sea creatures that still have relatives alive in our oceans today. But the really remarkable part is that these fish had been living in an extremely harsh environment, a time when the Earth saw a cataclysmic level of global warming that caused the oceans to get super hot. They remained hot for 200,000 years, with temperatures rising upwards of 104 degrees Fahrenheit. There was also no North Pole or South Pole, as the planet was dominated by nothing except rainforests. The discovery of the moonfish was quite interesting, because scientists know that moonfish are unique and that they can adapt to the temperature of the water around them. This means that while many other fish may have died because of rising ocean temperatures, certain species, like the moonfish, were able to adapt and thrive. Number 2. Pregnant mummy. In a shocking first, a pregnant mummy was discovered in Egypt. Archaeologists couldn't believe their eyes when they were scanning what they thought was the mummy of an ancient priest named Hor-Jehuti, and saw what appeared to be a small foot inside the mummy's abdomen. They then did a complete scan to confirm that yes, the mummy was pregnant at the time of death. She was mummified with the tiny fetus still sitting in her womb. This is now the first time a pregnant woman was found mummified, which has presented researchers with quite an interesting mystery. They still don't know who the woman was or why she was turned into a mummy with the baby still in her belly. Scientists have nicknamed her the Mysterious Lady of the National Museum in Warsaw. According to an archaeologist from the Polish Academy of Sciences, the fetus was not removed from the abdomen on purpose during the mummification process. As you may already know, all the internal organs are removed during this process to complete the transformation. But this time, they neglected to remove the unborn baby. Researchers are baffled as to why. It could have been an accident, part of some greater plan, or even just laziness on the part of the workers. As for where the mummy came from, she and her sarcophagus were donated to the University of Warsaw back in 1826. The name on the coffin was that of a male priest, but clearly something got switched. It wasn't until technology finally allowed them to research her properly in 2016 that they made all these new and unprecedented discoveries. Number 1. Amulet of the Sun God. In the Israeli desert, a couple of amateur hikers discovered a small scarab amulet that turned out to have a bizarre link to Ra, the Egyptian god of the sun. Experts have called the artifact the first of its kind, and something of a miracle, since it was unearthed by a random group of tourists from Jerusalem visiting archaeological sites in the Negev desert. Sure, similar amulets have been found all across the Mediterranean from ancient Egypt, but this particular one is unique. According to archaeologists from the Israel Antiquities Authority, it dates back to the 9th or 8th century BC. The reason it's so strange is that 2,000 years ago, this type of amulet was used by the Egyptians and other people in the region, but never in Israel. It's the only one of its kind to be found in the country. The front of the amulet was fashioned into a scarab beetle, which in ancient Egyptian mythology was the manifestation of the sun god. The link between the beetle and the god actually originated as a misinterpretation. When ancient Egyptians saw newborn beetles emerging from balls of sheep dung, where a female beetle had previously laid her eggs, they thought it was an act of spontaneous creation. They thought the beetles were literally just creating themselves out of nothing. So they linked the beetle to the sun god, and all these thousands of years later, the scarab beetle is still synonymous with Egypt and their god of the sun. Thanks for watching! What's your favorite Egyptian mystery? Let me know in the comments below, and remember to subscribe if you haven't already. See you next time. Bye!